Hey. Welcome to a emergency hoops rehab pod. Um, what a game, right, Eric?
What a game to say the least. It was not what we had expected for the first game one at Staples slash crypto playoff game, home game obviously for the Lakers since 2012. And so pretty crazy that it's been that long. Obviously, they would have had an opportunity in 2020, but with the bubble, they didn't play at home. But definitely a disappointing way to start the playoffs, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So this is the game injury doc, Dr. Evan Jeffries, and my co-host Eric B. Mack on my right. You can find us on
Up.
all our social media handles at Game Injury Doc and at Eric B. Matt. And our YouTube channel for the Hoops Rehab show is up and available, as well as our Instagram. But we wanted to get on tonight to really break down the Lakers Minnesota game because that was one of the highlights of the night. It was a great day of NBA basketball, but getting to break down some of the Lakers stuff I think was key and warranted an emergency pod. So Eric, I'm going to ask you right off the bat, what did you see?
Well, before I get into a little bit of a soliloquy and we're going to go back and forth, I just wanted to start off by so obviously last night we gave our predictions and going into a series, right? We kind of get an idea how the matchups might pan out, and a lot of times we don't have a lot of data because, for example, Minnesota and the Lakers haven't really have had a lot of playoff bouts or anything like that as of late. Obviously, the Lakers are quite different team since the Luka trade. The only time they've really played with Luka was in February, and Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert did not play, and Anthony Edwards got ejected, I believe, in the third
Yeah,
quarter,
third quarter.
right?
Hmm.
So, Lakers did win that game. So, my point is we obviously don't know until we know. And so obviously with this game, we kind of know a little bit about what the series is going to look like. It's going to be a tough ass series. Minnesota is just super physical, super athletic. They have an amazing couple role players off the bench that really paid dividends tonight. And so yeah, I'm ready to break this game down. And so that was just kind of my first thought is like, we now have game one in the review mirror, and we know like Lakers are going to have to play a lot better. And obviously the rest of the series just to even have an opportunity to make it a series, I feel. But what did you see out there before we, obviously give a little bit of a breakdown?
Yeah, overall, when you first started with the game, the first quarter, you got pretty excited. Luka
Oh yeah.
was obviously handling his business, but he had about 16 in the quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they went up, I think they got up around 10, if I remember
Mm-hmm.
correctly. And then all of a sudden, it was like hitting a brick wall. And they just went flat. They stopped moving the ball around. I think the big adjustment that Minnesota made is when they brought in Naz Reid and Dante DiVincenzo, and those two just came out and just really handled business. I mean, Naz Reid was making every three possible in the first half, fading away from the baseline, all that stuff. And so I think that made a huge difference in their lineup. We talked about this yesterday, and I thought DFS Jordan Finney-Smith would play about 30 minutes, and he played 33. I just didn't think that Jackson Hayes would play 8 minutes, or let's see, did he play? Yeah, eight
Yeah.
minutes in a game one when you probably have one of the biggest teams in the Western Conference, and he's our only big. So that makes me think of two things. That's either indication of how JJ views Jackson Hayes, or he just really was confident in his small ball lineup and felt that having Dorian Finney-Smith on the floor, obviously to guard like Ant and everybody on defense, which I think he did a decent job when he was on him, but it let the other guys go off, right? Jaden McDaniels went off. I mean, if you would have told me Jaden McDaniel was going to get 25 points in game one, I would have been kind of shocked there. Or if you would have told me he was going to be the leading scorer in the game, I would be even more shocked, right? So I think the Lakers did a decent job on Anthony Edwards, except for in the third quarter when he kind of went off there. But overall, in the first half and kind of that time period, like they were doing a decent job of coverage on him. They just let the other guys kind of go to work. And if you have the other guys beat you in a game, that is a problem. So Lakers are definitely going to have to figure out. I mean, number one, are they going to play big at all? And their only option is Jackson Hayes. We're not going to go to Alex Lynn. And I'll repeat that. We're
Uh,
not going to go to Alex Lynn. The only other option you have is Marquise Morris. I don't think they're ever going to go to him either. I, I do like what I saw out of Jared Vanderbilt, and I think maybe there might be adjustment, and I don't know when we'll see it. I think it would be more of an emergency adjustment. Would you see Jared Vanderbilt actually in that starting lineup there at the five, and just kind of rolling with that lineup at first, and then bringing Jackson Hayes in when Nas Reed comes in, or vice versa with Gobert. So I think there JJ will probably make some decent adjustments. What do you say about all that?
great points. Yeah, there's a lot to take in.
Yeah,
It's interesting because you made a lot of great points too last night, and it was a little actually different than we thought. We thought
yeah,
that beginning of the game that maybe we
hmm
didn't have anybody for Anthony Edwards, and what I kind of noticed is, in a way, this with the starters, with having like obviously Conley is not a good career, great career, but when he's in there and Rudy Gobert is in there, I feel Lakers are actually at an advantage, and we saw that early. Obviously, Luca was super hot. I mean, he had 37 tonight. He, started amazingly for his, first Laker playoff game. I was just so giddy and excited. And I'm like, man, this is going to be like years of obviously watching Luca playoff games, which
hmm
it will be. But it just quickly turned when Luca first off was subbed out. Um, you said it yourself, like Nas Reed came in. He just started hitting shots. Like in my opinion, so when Anthony Davis was on the Lakers, they had a different defensive philosophy. It was kind of guard the perimeter, kind of funnel everybody to the middle, where AD would be inside to obviously hopefully take care of business. Obviously, they don't have that anymore. And so because they have not a lot of options, they play this style where they're gonna give up the three ball. Obviously, hopefully not to like great 3-point shooters, but they kind of get have to give up something. And their defense looks really good when other teams are not hitting their three ball. But on a game like tonight, I think they hit like 21 threes, 21 out of 42. It really made the Lakers defense really not look that great. And so that's one thing I think we got to pay attention to. I hope they don't hit 21 more threes again in a series. If they do, obviously it's going to be a long game again. But just, overall, like they were just so much more physical than the Lakers. I mean, you said it yourself. Obviously, 8 minutes, from Jackson Hayes. I don't know if that was just a product of. I know they were trying to throw a few lobs to him, and he couldn't quite grab the ball, and I thought there was some contact on a couple of them, and could have got a whistle there or two. But I don't know if it was a product of just his performance, but I think we gotta get at least 12 to 15 minutes of his size out there. And so right, and again, it was just super physical performance by Minnesota. In a way, I might not want to get this, but I feel like if it's the Anthony Edwards show, like I think it's Lakers will be in a decent spot. But when you guys, like you
yeah,
said, when you got guys like, let me look at the stats here. Jaden McDaniels, 25 points. Nas Reed, 23 points. Well above their season averages. Anthony Edwards, 22, obviously that's great. Julius Randle had like really, really, got, even though it's 16 points, but he had a big 16 points.
big
So
game. Yeah,
I think some guys played obviously, a little bit over their means or their kind of usual. And
yeah,
so I think Lakers are gonna have to, go to the drawing board. And again, we're gonna go over some strategy changes. But that's kind of what I saw. And obviously that this first game against the Wolves.
yeah. I mean, I got two major points here. And what we talked about yesterday. Minnesota is the sixth ranked defense in the NBA.
Yeah.
Held the Lakers to 95 points in game one at LA. So you obviously know they are for real. My biggest thing is when I go look at, Luka's game, right? He had 37, which is what you wanna, you want to see that out of Luka. He had one assist.
Mm-hmm.
One. I mean, that's not a Luka game, in my
No.
opinion. If Luka is not getting at least 7, 8 assists, that's not a good game on Luka's standards. Yes, he had a lot of points, but he shouldn't be your primary scorer and not a playmaker, right? And then if you break this down even further, you look at their next playmaker, LeBron James. How many assists did he have? Three, right? So out of your two primary playmakers, Luka and LeBron, you had 4 assists total. And then you're like, okay, maybe let's
7
go
with
to
Austin Reeves.
yeah, let's go to your third playmaker, Austin Reeves. 3 assists. He had 7 assists out of your playmakers. That is a
Wow.
typical LeBron. I mean, less than the average of LeBron and Luka combined with 3 of your playmakers right there. You're never going to win a game. It's simple as that. I mean, if you're not moving the ball, I mean, I got pretty frustrated with the ISO ball and the step back threes from Luka, from AR, from LeBron. Just the fact that they weren't spreading the ball like they normally do. Um, and I felt like in the first quarter they were starting to do that and kind of taking advantage of Rui. Right, his matchup was Conley. He had Conley on him. Right, you got to take advantage of that because Jaden McDaniels is guarding Luka. Right, so Conley is definitely the mismatch in this series because he's not going to be able to. Lakers have a lot of size in terms of that. So in my opinion, Conley's probably not going to play heavy minutes because of the mismatches. But in general, though, you can't win a game when you have 7 assists out of your top three explosive playmakers.
Yeah, I mean, that's just great points because you last night you preached how if there's a difference between the two ball clubs, that Lakers have really three playmakers,
Yeah.
and Minnesota doesn't have nearly as much, and that was kind
Yeah.
of like why we were leaning towards the Lakers in this
Hmm.
series. But if your playmakers get a total of 7 assists, where typically one of them would get 7, 8 assists.
Yeah.
I mean, if we look at the stat sheet and I see that game too, I mean, it's going to be the same story. And
All she
so,
wrote.
yeah, and so I saw the same thing. A lot of like letting Minnesota off the hook. I mean, look, they're great defensively, and I know a lot of it is probably having to do with their defense, and they kind of frustrate you to not really want to run your offense. It kind of feels like because Lakers weren't really running any type of offense. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't see any kind of flow. I saw obviously like LeBron taking a little bit of a backseat in the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up with 19. Some of that was like with that little mini comeback. A little bit was like a little bit of garbage time. And so, I mean, it's concerning. I mean, this game is going to be the most like rest that LeBron is going to get going into a game in the
Yeah.
playoffs, right? I mean, the only other way is if they were to finish off a series really early and have a lot of rest between the next one. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think this team is like a finish a series early kind of team, to be honest. I mean, this one, I mean,
Lakers
we
in five.
Lakers in five, so
The
that I
Shannon
mean.
says.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I know we're gonna get into like a little bit of like the kind of the rest of the series and what it's gonna look like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think we got to talk about Austin Reeves a little bit too. I mean, obviously we can chalk it up to a bad game, like everyone has bad games. I don't know. I'm just a little nervous about how he got swallowed up pretty much. The guys that he's facing, obviously, McDaniels and them, very, very athletic. Some of the things that herky jerky kind of style that he
Yeah.
plays, it just really didn't see much of it. As you said, he was kind of settling for those threes.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about Austin and kind of going forward in the
Yeah.
series?
I thought he was trying to do too much 1-on-1 and really trying to make it more of an iso ball game.
Hmm.
And I don't think they were typically there's a little bit more pick and roll with our playmakers, and I just felt like we didn't really go to that much, and it just went really ISO heavy. And if they thought they could exploit some matchups that he had on him, and it just really didn't work. A lot of his movements didn't work tonight. He got a little hot towards the end, and that's why he ended up with what 16, right?
Yep.
Overall. But in the first half, he definitely didn't have a typical Austin Reeves half. So I think they're just going to have to get back to the drawing board and make sure that they're playing like a team that moves the ball, right? Lakers play at their best when they're moving it constantly, right? You see when they're swing actions with the ball. They got the pick and rolls going. They're swinging the ball all the way to the corner. You usually have a Gabe Vincent in the corner, or a Dorian Finney-Smith in the corner, or Rui, right? Like Rui's corner three has been solid the whole year.
Oh
So I
yeah.
just don't think they were doing that. And is that a nod to Minnesota's defense? Probably, right? They game plan pretty well for them tonight. And I, the thing that concerned me the most is that they had this rest that they obviously wanted for being a top 16, but they came out with not the postseason effort. They came out like it was a regular season game. And JJ Redick said that going into the fourth quarter when he was interviewed. Or I think it was the fourth, right?
Yeah.
Um, just the fact that they're playing like it's a regular season game. He said it's nothing schematic that they're doing. We're just not playing with that effort, and that's concerning, right? Because you had all this time off and rest and all that stuff, and I think possibly some of this media and kind of getting the Lakers a little bit higher than maybe they should have been. Maybe that's gotten to their head a little bit, and they thought they could just go out and play a game and get the win, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, I kind of failed to mention that earlier. Lakers were just a sexy pick all week.
Yeah,
ESPN, all the insiders had them winning the series, every single one of them. It's going to be the opposite the next couple of days, and then maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, they were obviously well deserved, like you said. You get out of the plane, you get that rest. I know you remember you posed a question a couple of shows ago about who I would give the coaching nod to in terms of JJ and obviously Chris
yep,
Finch, and I think we're about to get it put to the test, right? Because obviously it's about the players. Players got to go out there and ball. But there's going to be an ultimate chess match. I've said it many times. Each game, it's its own entity. And I'll be curious to see what adjustments are being made. There's probably some, I think, kind of like in the second half. Sometimes it's hard to tell though, because when you're up so much, you let your foot off the gas like naturally sometimes. And so obviously Minnesota built that almost 30-point lead. And
hmm
so Lakers outscored them by 14 to 15 points. And you think, hey, maybe they got a chance, but they're still down 13. And
hmm
so, yeah, it felt, even though the Lakers came out obviously swinging early ish, it totally, even the vibe in the crowd, I don't know, something was just off. It just felt like a regular season game. And I don't know if it's like, damn, we haven't, had a lot of, Laker home postseason games as of late or something. But yeah, we're gonna need a rocking crowd and obviously a rocking performance in game two. And so one thing before I kick it back to you is there was such a key play. I don't know if you guys saw out there that I thought in a point in the game. So and these little things have such a big factor. So Lakers are about 30 seconds left in the second half. Lakers are down by 8. Um, Dorian Finney-Smith has a wide open three. Obviously, make or miss league, right? You're gonna miss him. He misses it. What happens? DiVincenzo at the buzzer hits a three. And so, like, you literally go from a 5-point deficit, perhaps going into the second half, to it being 11. And that's such a big swing. What
yeah,
happens? Very first possession of the second half, and actually the first three possessions, Minnesota makes three threes.
yep. They
And
went on an 11-0 run, right, to start the second
yep,
half. So
floodgates are open. So that was something that I kind of wanted to share with you guys because that was, I mean, there's obviously there's so many points in the game I can get to, but that was so crucial. I'm like, damn, if you would have hit that three down 5, feeling good, I mean, who knows what happens? And so those are those moments. Yeah, you gotta come up big and hit some shots.
yeah, no, that was key, man. Like just the momentum switch in that. If you go into the half down by 5, right, you're feeling pretty good, right? You should have been playing better in that game, but you're only down by 5, right? And
Yep.
then all of a sudden you come on the third quarter and just let it go, boom, boom, boom. and that was pretty much a wrap to the game. You knew the game was over at that point, even though the Lakers made their mini runs and kind of cut it down, and LeBron tried to get it going. But I want to kind of pose a question to you. And, it's been one game, obviously, and then we haven't been in this stage in a while, being the third seed. But what's your panic meter right now from 1 to 10?
So I got like a couple panic meters, and what I mean by that is I hesitate to look ahead, but part of me is like panicking in the sense of like if Lakers are they'd be very fortunate to get through this series. I think I know we obviously picked them as champs this year.
Mhm.
I think it's going to be tough sledding getting through the West. We're not gonna. I mean, like if you think about it, right? Like I don't think it's going to be possible that like for a LeBron, right? We're going to need him to play like probably 40, 42 minutes a game every night. Obviously tonight it's a little different because it was a blowout,
Mhm.
but I just think like this is only game one, and what I saw tonight, like you're gonna have different matchups. Hopefully they play different teams. I think that the size of the Lakers, I think the kind of like inability to have really a lot of scoring off the bench is gonna really, really hurt them
Mhm.
as the playoffs go on. And so I would say it's like if we're saying it out of 10, I would say like 6 in terms of like kind of going forward.
Mhm.
And in terms of for this series, I've kind of calmed down a bit. I mean, I'll be honest, after the game, I was like, it's done, it's over. I was even thinking like, have the Lakers lost the first game of the playoffs and won a championship? And to be honest, it did happen in 2020. They lost the
Mhm.
first game against
Mhm.
Portland and they ended up winning it. Not saying that would happen here. So I would probably put it at about a 5 in terms of for this series. So 6 to 7 overall and 5 for this series. What about yourself?
Okay. I'll just go straight to the series. I'm at about a 2 right now. So
Okay,
I'm
okay.
not overly concerned. And some of our reasoning is based on the schedule of this series, right? So we Lakers don't play until Tuesday, so we get
Mhm.
2 full days, and I think being able to be a first year coach and a young coach, being able to have that time to make adjustments. I think JJ has done well this year with making his adjustments when they kind of get into funks or slumps. And so I think that helps overall because you're gonna not play until Tuesday, and then again another 2 days and play on Friday, and then you'll just get 1 day in between. You'll play on the Sunday, but that game five will be another 2 days,
Yep.
right? So you have a pretty decent amount of rest throughout this whole series, and I think that bodes well for the Lakers. Um, I think that's an advantage that they have. You never want to lose game one, but you know that you at least got to get one of them at home, right? And then probably go at least still one in Minnesota, if not two, and then kind of finish it off. So I'm not too panicked about it. To me, that was an uncharacteristic type of game because I I don't know if I can. I mean, you would have to look back on the stats, but I don't think I can recall a game this year where they had 7 assists combined out of those three players. I mean, I would love to look up those stats and kind of look at it and see if it's happened, but I don't think it's been that low ever. Right. So
Wow.
to me, that's uncharacteristic of what that team really is. So I'm not too panicked. Obviously, if the Lakers go down 0-2, that's a different story.
Yeah, so you're at about a 2. I mean, I get it. Like a couple of things that really make me nervous. So one is just the way they lost. I there's things that I'm like, there's a couple adjustments I can see they can make, but I just we'll see if it makes a difference. And two, when I think of kind of a young team, a lot of times when they steal that home court, they're
Mhm.
satisfied, right? But I know just last year, this Minnesota team, they went when they beat Denver in 7. They won that first game in Denver, and I could swear
Mhm.
game 2, right? You're just like, okay, you figure Denver's gonna run away with it.
Yeah,
And then,
they
that's
lost.
typically kind of how it goes. But Minnesota just like gave it to them and whooped them up. And I feel they're the type of team that, smells blood and they are going to go for the kill. And that's what really makes me nervous. Doesn't mean they're going to win it, obviously. Lakers are going to have to play a lot better, but that does, kind of make me nervous for game two, because I feel like Lakers have to get game two and three, since game four is like 30 hours after game three. So that's something else that I kind of thought of.
Yeah, no, those are great points. I think we just people in general have been disrespecting Minnesota. 'Cause you got to remember they made it to the conference finals last year, right?
Yep,
If it wasn't for Luka's heroics and things like that, Minnesota would probably be in the finals. So this is a good team, and in all reality, in the Western Conference, from 3 through 8, it was only separated by a couple games, right? So the
absolutely.
reality
Yep.
of saying like, "Oh, we got a 3 seed, and we're that much better than you," no, you're not that much better than these teams. We're like a couple game separation in between 3 through 8, right? And you can see that in other series like Clippers and Denver. That's going to be a battle. That's going to
Oh
go
yeah,
probably 7 because those are two very good teams. Same thing with
absolutely.
Lakers and Minnesota. Those are two very good teams. So we're going to see a battle in the series, and Lakers are gonna have to wake up and really respond in game two, and I'm talking about 48 minutes, right? Not these little like, oh, they look good in the first quarter,
Hmm.
or little spurts here and there. They got to play all 48 and get a win. And I think I'm not too worried that will happen. I think that will happen in game two. It's just a matter of, I guess my only concern and the only reason I have a 2 out there, I could have a 0, would be that we don't have size to add. Like,
Yeah,
it's not coming and walking on the street. I saw Dwight Howard post his usual when the Lakers lose, and he posted his, 39 jersey and Superman on it, right? Dwight Howard's not walking into the locker room. And even if he was, he would never be able to play right now.
absolutely.
But we don't have any other options there. And I think that's been the concern from most people with the Lakers is they this team is pretty talented, but they're a year away from, or a free agency away from, adding some bigs that would be beneficial for this team. So I think that's so me, like this series is a 2, right? For you, you had the series a little higher. Going overall, I'm more concerned on my panic meter just because the longevity of this to the playoffs. So I'm more like at a 4 with the long
Right.
term with that, because like we don't have the size, like we just don't have the bigs, and you got to think like there are certain teams that's going to work well against. Like I think we can match up with Golden State because they don't really have that much bigs, right?
Bro.
But when you play teams like Minnesota, Denver, I mean, hey, Zubac and the Clippers, right? They
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
have these pretty massive bigs that are going to dominate. So that's the only concern I have kind of moving forward. And we can't even look that far ahead right now. We got to look at game two. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's no bigs that are going to be walking through those doors. It's going
no.
to be the same team we've had the last few months, and so they've obviously been pulling it together. But yeah, no, you're right. It's gonna have to little bit of strategy. Like a couple things that like were kind of frustrating me too is like Lakers just like and a lot of teams do it. You just like automatically like just give up the switch. And I mean
Yeah.
these some of these guys are obviously attacking like AR and then even Luca. See, that's the problem. Like, and when you have like a Vando in the lineup, and if you're just switching everything, and he's not like a primary defender, you're not really getting any benefit because he's not obviously great offensively. And so that's one thing I noticed, having him in there is
Yeah.
maybe just not always like maybe fighting a screen every once in a while for crying out loud, right?
Yeah.
And obviously he's got those hustle plays, gets those 50-50 balls, loose balls. And so he was a big part of like that little mini comeback for
Yeah.
sure. So I know you mentioned earlier, maybe we can find some minutes from him for him, and that'd be kind of nice. But overall, I mean, I did say Lakers in six, and when I envisioned Lakers in six, I envisioned after 4 games the series being 2-2.
Yeah.
And so definitely a shot of still being that. Obviously, Lakers have to win 2 out of the next 3 to do that. But yeah, like, size does matter sometimes. And and it's weird because like it's not even the size of Gobert that's like the issue. It's like so it's just weird because he's doesn't give them a lot of offense, and obviously Luca was even picking him apart like he always does. But it's just staying in front of these guys like Nas Reed and
Yep.
I know we were talking about it before we got on the show. Obviously with Jaden McDaniels made a comment that like when Jackson Hayes isn't out there, McDaniels feels like he's like the tallest out on the court, and he there's no rim protection, and he's like, I'm gonna just take it to the hole. And so
Hmm.
it's interesting to hear an opposing player say that. I mean, we all know it, but yeah, I mean, to your point, it's like again, we're not gonna get taller and bigger overnight. It's just all about like I think their offensive flow, maybe some small adjustments on defense, and I mean, gosh, whatever it takes, they just got to get game two.
Yeah.
And I am also curious to hear about what your thoughts about LeBron James. We haven't talked about him a lot,
Oh,
but you know, something to think about in terms
yeah.
of like you know if there's a health concern at all in your opinion or what. But
Yeah.
we'll see, man. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to get game two. That's all I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah. Before I get to LeBron, I just want to make kind of piggyback on the Jared Vanderbilt concept, right? I
Yeah,
think one of the biggest concerns for JJ, and I think why he doesn't get as many minutes, is he's just not a lob threat. Right, the pick and roll lob type of big that you need with Luca is not Jared Vanderbilt,
yeah,
and so I
yep.
think that's part of the reason why
Excuse me.
he gets lost out there. Like it should, I mean, you're 6'9", he's 6'9", you should be able to be a lob threat, but it's just not his game with the pick and rolls. He likes to pick and pop more, even though he's not a pop. Um,
Picking
so,
something. Come on, man. Killing me out there.
so I'm just curious on like I think that's part of the reason why he doesn't play as much at the five there. And like I always look at his minutes. I'm like, hey, he got another 12 minutes. He got another 14 minutes. Like, what do you get tonight? 14 minutes. I if he's getting 14 minutes and Jackson Hayes is getting 8, that means we had the two biggest guys on our team with 22 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Um, so man, I don't know what the solution is there. I think they should, it's something obviously they can't just implement in two rest days, right, to figure out how he can play better at that position. But it's something they need to kind of work on to make it work. So let's get to LeBron James. Unless you want to add anything on that?
Before that, I noticed that Gabe Vincent played 25 minutes, and we need a better 25 minutes if he's going to play in those minutes. That's all I got to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah, just
He
I just
was
realized that right now. Okay, anyways, but yeah.
he was 1 for 3.
Yeah.
And just 3 point. That's just he just takes 3 point shots at this point,
Yeah.
which is
Anyways, yeah.
fine if he's hitting them right. So that sometimes you look at those and you're like, wow, he does play good on. He's a great defender, right? He's tough, he's gritty, but we just need a little bit more out of those bench players. If you're getting 3 points out of Gabe Vincent and 3 points out of Dorian Finney-Smith, that's not going to win you a ball game. So.
Nope. Nope.
All right, so let's talk about kind of our final subject here. I wanted to kind of get into LeBron James and whether or not he was showing his age tonight. So that's, when we talk about our panic meters, and I think a lot of our panic meters moving forward, even if they were to get past this series, is just the health status of LeBron, right? So he's coming off the groin injury, which he suffered about a month ago, right? He took the two weeks off, came back. He's been back for 2 weeks. Last game of the season aggravated his hip per se, which is probably more the groin hip. It's kind of like a complex. There's usually if you're having pain in the groin, it could be coming from your hip. There's multiple factors that have been going on,
Gotcha.
regardless, right? So I mean, me personally, watching him in the first half, he didn't look 100%. He also chooses to pick his spots of when he wants to use his athletic ability or his burst, right? Like the whole night, you're like, he's not really looking like his normal self. Then he goes and makes the most ridiculous block you'll see.
I
Or you know
know.
what I mean? Like, I'm just like, dude, the lift on that was crazy. And then he goes and tries to go a layup on Gobert, and he barely has any lift on his layup. Like, you can even see where his head is. He's not where he normally would be on that type of layup for him. So my concern moving forward is just how healthy is he, or how healthy he can be at this age,
Yeah, I
right? Because
mean,
it's just wear and tear overall, and is that sustainable moving forward?
yeah, I mean, good points. Like I was in two different, couple different thoughts. Like obviously, it is the injury, it's ailing him more than kind of what's being said. And then that thought of like he is like conserving for like a long playoff run,
Yeah.
but it's like you need him to be LeBron to make sure they do get in a long playoff run.
Mhm.
And so that's where it's that balance where he has like those fill out games, right? It's well documented. Those game ones, he kind of like fills out a series. And so that's the thing that's like concerning is like, I mean, whether it's this year, next year, we can say like, oh, next year we're gonna get it like all this, like obviously this ammo, big guy, this and that. He's just gonna be another year older, and we're gonna be going through the same thing. And
Yeah.
that's the tough part. Like obviously, we know he's like one of the best to ever do it, and I think he's gonna come back strong in game two. But
Yes.
like when he has like those games that he's gonna be LeBron, I'm just interested to see what the next game will be like. And so obviously same concerns as you. It's like he's gonna be picking and choosing his battles, but I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna be good enough to have a real successful run with this current team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree with your point about like, yeah, next year is gonna be in his 23rd season. So it's like, oh yeah, they're a year away. I mean, this is
Yeah,
like they're honestly his best shot at a title right now.
I think so too.
The reality of this season, and they know that too. And by claiming that third seed, they made a huge effort at the end of the regular season to get that third seed. So they know that this is the season to do it because I mean, we don't even know if he's going to play next year, to be honest, right?
Exactly.
We everybody's theory is that he's going to play, right? Like he probably wants to break the all-time season record. He probably wants to break all the other records he's going to break.
60,000 points, God
Yeah,
knows. Yeah.
whatever it is, right? So play with Bryce at some
Oh
point, right?
man,
So
right.
so we can't just assume that he's going to be here. And second, it, he's going to be 41 next year. And granted, yes, he has been defying father time, but there's got to be a time where like his body held up pretty well this year besides the groin injury. So
Yeah.
he played 70 games, which is freaking amazing. And he's had back-to-back seasons where he's played 70 plus games. At this age is amazing. But how much can you request that of a guy going into his 23rd season? So I think at a minimum this year they have to go for the chip. Like it just has to be. You made this trade for Luca. You made, you hired JJ. It's been going well. I think this is the year to do it. Now, time will tell if his body is going to be able to hold up. But he doesn't like if I had to guess percentage wise where he's at, I don't think he's at 100. Like he's somewhere probably between that 80 and 90%, which is usually still better than most guys in this league, right? We've seen it time and
Yeah.
time again that even when an unhealthy LeBron is still better than most people in this league. So those are kind of my thoughts, like really on where he stands here. It just the only main thing that concerns me is the soft tissue injuries, which they can be easily aggravated. And if he goes out with one of those in the series, it's going to be very very difficult for the Lakers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his health and him being as close to like, I mean, 100%. I know there's a lot of players that aren't at 100 right now, but him being as close as possible is going to be their really only chance to like really make noise. Obviously, at this point in time, we know Luca is most likely their best basketball player,
Hmm.
and so they're going to really lean on him, and that's why Reeves, he can't be lost in the shuffle. He's going to have to step up. All the guys are going to have to step up, and so. Yeah, man, it's a little bit somber because we were kind of real excited. We were like obviously having a nice like end of the year. We captured that third seed, and
Yep.
so it was a little bit of a reality check tonight. And so punch to the gut, and it's all about the Tuesday's game, and I'm interested to see how the Lakers respond.
Yep. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to digest a little bit before coming on this pod.
Woosa,
Otherwise,
woosa.
and I would say Laker Nation, RELAX. Relax. Okay? I think the Lakers are going to be fine. And moving forward, we just have to figure out a way to make our playmakers be playmakers. And if you see that happening in game two, more than likely the Lakers are going to be on more the winning side with that.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty.
Got to do it
So,
one way or another. So
yeah. So I'm glad we hopped on for this little emergency pod, talk about the Lakers. We will be on tomorrow, kind of go over Sunday's slated games, kind of probably at the end of Sunday night's game, and we'll get into that, and then probably preview those games on Monday. But got anything else, Eric?
no, not much. Looking forward to talking to you all tomorrow night. Maybe we'll get into obviously the Sunday games, a little bit of I know we didn't really touch on game ones around the league, but we wanted to make this and particularly about the Lakers. And so yeah, a lot of great basketball tomorrow, and look forward to chopping it up with you guys.
All right. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. The Hoop Rehab team is out.
Peace out, everyone. Oh.